Rise up. Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo. Whoa.
Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? Welcome back to another episode of Straight Out of the Bay with myself, Jay in the Bay. We got Keltz Chronicles in the building. We got Bay Area Baller in the building. And we also have Amin the Dream in the building. We've got a hell of a Monday night game. I'm sure everyone's been watching. But first, how was everyone's weekend? How was your day today? The floor is yours.
And it's another beautiful day, another victory Monday. So that's always a good thing. A great game is going on right now. It's at the end of it. So, yeah, man, just another blessed day. Thank you for asking, Jay.
Absolutely. How about you?
Feeling good.
Right. Or go ahead, Bear.
Hey, I'm feeling good. It's Mondays always go smoother after a 49ers victory. Love talking to you guys and can't wait to talk about the game.
Hey, man, absolutely. How you doing, Amin?
I'm doing good. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm doing good. This game is obviously intense, man. I don't know. The Raiders made the stop, but that was a 2-point conversion call. That was questionable in my opinion, but I'm doing good overall, and Niners got a W, so can't complain, and, glad to be on with y'all.
Hey, absolutely. And once again, this is another broadcast of Straight Out of the Bay. We appreciate everyone who's in the chat right now. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to my page for right now, Jay in the Bay. Also, make sure you check out Keltz Chronicles, check out Amin the Dream, and Bay Area Baller 18. Check out all our YouTube channels when you get a chance, but we appreciate the chat. And I will make an effort to read comments throughout the show. And once again, we appreciate everyone's, love and support. But let's get into this game, fellas. I mean, the 49ers, I think they took care of business. They won the game 37-15. I think the Niners were clearly, the more talented team. And I think that was obviously proven throughout the entire game. So I want to do roundtable. What's one player that stood out to you on either side of the ball? Let's start off with Bay Area Baller. What's one player who stood out to you in this game against the Carolina Panthers?
I mean, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson was gashing the Panthers with the toss. And the 49ers, we got this toss, right? Normally you think a toss play is designed to hit the edge, which sometimes our tosses do go to the edge. But I call them these toss counters where we're tossing it and then Jeff is cutting back against the grain. And Jeff Wilson's vision is just phenomenal. The guy runs hard. He might not be the fastest guy, but this vision that I'm talking about, he sees the hole. He hits it with force. I mean, I got to look it up. He had at least 120 rushing yards. He was averaging 7 yards a carry. Jeff Wilson came out to play, and the only way Jeff and these holes are opening up is if the offensive line is creating these holes. So I wanted to just sprinkle that in there. But Jeff Wilson balled out. Phenomenal day.
Absolutely. What do you think about that? Who stood out to you? I mean, the Dream?
I'll go with another running back in Tevin Coleman. I mean, man, that guy came out of nowhere, right? I saw him get the touchdown in the beginning of the game, and I was like, I thought it was Jeff Wilson for a second. I saw 28, and I was like, wow, this is Tevin Coleman. I haven't seen him in 2 years, but Tevin Coleman, and he also had that nice toe tap grab where Jimmy put it in the spot where Tevin Coleman can get it, and he had a beautiful grab. Another, throw to Jimmy, quick throw to Jimmy. A quick throw from Jimmy to Tevin Coleman to get another touchdown. I mean, Tevin Coleman had himself a day, and also another. He had himself a day against the Panthers in 2019 as well. So against the Panthers, Tevin Coleman definitely shines, and he definitely did that on Sunday.
How about you, Keltz? What you think? Who stood out today or yesterday?
Man, it was regardless or it's bittersweet, obviously, but Emmanuel Mosley, man, it's like, it just looked reminiscent of 2019. I can't remember how many pick sixes we had that year, but I'm pretty sure we had some pick sixes. And to do it in back-to-back weeks, man, it was just it's game changing, momentum shifting. You continue to win when you're able to put points on the board with special teams or defense. And I predicted before the game. I made a few predictions, and that was one of my predictions was Mosley getting the interception. I think it's the first time I said Mosley getting the pick all year, so he was able to pull it off. Prayers to him. I think everything's gonna work out. But man, for sure, man, that's some momentum changing, game changing type of plays we need to continue to make if we want to make a deep run. So man.
Hey, all great picks. Got to say huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now. Got to say what's good. We got Eric, Jesus, let's get it, GA. Appreciate you guys tuning into the stream and leaving your comments throughout the show. I got to give two guys. Got to get Dre Greenlaw. I mean, he led the team in tackles. Dre Greenlaw he's like a madman out there. He's always where the ball is. Sometimes he's a little too aggressive, but I think you would rather a player that you have to wind down than a player that you have to constantly wind up, right? Dre Greenlaw always comes to play, and I think that's obviously a strength on this defense, the linebacking core. Fred Warner was second in the team in tackles yesterday, so obviously he balled out as well. And I got to give it to number 10, Jimmy G. I know the bar is set low for Jimmy. I know that, but he stood in the pocket. He made some throws when clearly he knew he was going to get hit. And what I saw different from Jimmy was he threw some 50-50 balls. I've never really seen Jimmy do that. You see the upper echelon quarterbacks do that. Pat Mahomes, TB12, you kind of have to, what they call, throwing the wide receiver open. And that's kind of like what Jimmy did. He allowed his playmaker, he allowed his receivers, skill guys to make a play on the ball. And hopefully we see more of that. And so I'm giving credit where credit is due. Jimmy G, did he have an A+ game? No, but I thought he played pretty well. I like what I saw. Hopefully, that continues. Jesus says, saludos. How would you grade the O-line performance? And we saw Daniel Brunskill all along the offensive line. He was at both guard spots. I saw he was at the left tackle spot. So they were rotating guys in and out. So what would you guys grade the offensive line performance? You mentioned the running game. I think for the most part, Jimmy G was protected enough. What say you, Amin, the Dream? How would you grade this O-line performance from, A to F?
I think the O-line played pretty well. If I had to give them a grade, I'd probably give them around like an A-, B+. I thought overall they had a pretty darn good game. Now, there was times where, they allowed sacks, and some of them were from Jalen Moore, who got beat by a lot of speed rushers. But outside of that, this O-line played pretty well. And for 2 weeks back-to-back, they've had pretty good performances, and they protected Jimmy for the most part. So if I had to give the O-line a performance, I would say around B+, A- range. You definitely have been able to hold up, especially without Trent Williams. I think this O-line deserves a lot of credit for that, because obviously with Trent Williams going down, a lot of new guys on this offensive line, and without Trent Williams, without the best offensive lineman arguably in football, and you're still able to protect your quarterback and hold up. So definitely got to give props to the O-line, and this O-line for 2 weeks in a row has definitely shown pretty good performances.
Keltz, did you like what you saw from the offensive line yesterday?
Absolutely. It's we still got to remember, we got a second-year guy out there, a rookie out there, basically, almost kind of like another rookie with Brendel. And for us to, be down one of the, our left tackles, Trent Williams, like Amin said, just big props to them for holding it together. We gave up 2 sacks. We're running the ball nicely, creating holes. At least to be, with what we have, it feels like an A for sure. It's like next man up, and I like the rotations. I like the rotation. I think I mentioned something similar to that with cornerbacks in the offseason. I mentioned possible rotation just to keep guys fresh. You know how they do on the defensive line. Who knows what the real reasoning is, but awesome job by the offensive line so far.
Yeah, I gave it an A-. This offensive line was creating alleys. You get a seal here and a seal there, like Chris Berman tells you, and the path is cleared for Jeff Wilson to hit the hole on these tosses. A-, and I'm saying most of that grade is due to how dominant I felt they were in the run game.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really add anything. We have actually, I will add something. Something came to my mind. I mean, we have a third string left tackle and Jalen Moore replacing, Trent Williams. So I think you have to grade on a curve. But I think that the triple Bs are playing well. I'm not sure why Shanahan is bringing in Brunskill. I don't know if it's because maybe he just wants to ease Brunskill into the game to get him some work. I don't know if it's necessarily because a guy is playing bad. I'm going to be optimistic and just say, hey, Brunskill's getting in some work. Eventually he could start. But, I like what I saw. There's no doubt. I like what I saw. They protected Jimmy enough, and they're definitely opening holes in the running game. We saw right away the first play of the game, George Kittle. I don't know if it was because it was his birthday or whatever, but, George Kittle was finally made a priority in the passing game. And hopefully we keep that up. I think he had 5 catches under 50 yards, but
led the team in catches with those 5.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely good to see because when I see guys like Travis Kelce, like tonight, 4 touchdown catches, and he didn't have a ton of yards, but Pat Mahomes gives him the ball religiously. And I just wish we could use Kittle like that. And I know Kittle is he's working his way back from that groin injury. Maybe they want to bring him in slow, not necessarily make him a priority in the passing game. I understand that aspect as well. But we got to continue to talk about, we talked a little about what we saw that was done well. We got to talk also about this defense again, only allowing 15 points, 1 touchdown. I predicted, this would be a blowout. I thought the Niners would win 31-0, but, I was a little close. At least we scored over 30 points in this game. But also, we got to talk about the injuries. We know Emmanuel Mosley went down. We'll talk about that. But do you guys think this defense will have to change its philosophy a little bit since Emmanuel Mosley, unfortunately, he suffered the torn ACL? Do you think they'll have to change somewhat of this defensive philosophy since now we don't have 2 shutdown corners? What say you, Keltz? Do you think we have to change this philosophy? D'Amico Ryans has been blitzing a lot more. That usually leaves your corners on an island. I wonder if he'll continue that. And also, do we have, an answer? Do we have someone on the roster who could fill Emmanuel Mosley's spot?
Those are all great questions that I might not have the answers to. No, but E-Man, it's going to be hard to replace E-Man. But I will say this: I feel much more confident right now than I did last year. When Verrett went down last year, I mean, we bring in who? Josh Norman. We bring in, we give Dre Kirkpatrick a run, and that was real concern. I mean, going into this year, I know Ambry Thomas has been viewed as, not very good, just given the fact of his training camp and whatnot. But who knows? Maybe Ambry Thomas is a gamer, because I know when he was in the games last year, it looked like he elevated his game every time he got opportunities. So who really knows what Ambry Thomas is going to be, or if he'll get played? Who knows if it's going to be Lenore? But I just feel much more comfortable going into it with Ambry Thomas and Lenore in year 2. And then we also have Womack. Every time Womack has been given the opportunity, he looks like he could take the ball away, even though that was preseason regardless. And then we have Verrett, who before Verrett went down last year was arguably our number 1 cornerback. So who knows what he might. I just feel a lot more confident this year. I was way more worried last year when one of our top guys went down. It feels like, we preached all off season long about the depth of this team and just the luxury of being able to have, I know I'm getting a little off topic, but just the luxury of being able to have this kind of depth. I don't know if there's a team in the NFL that could go to, have all the injuries that we've had and still be looked at like one of the best teams in the NFL. So I think with D'Amico Ryans and the whole coaching staff, I think we're going to figure it out. You know, we might see a slight drop, but I don't think it's going to be anything major. Real talk.
What about you, Bay Area Baller? Who replaces Emmanuel Mosley? And do you think the 49ers and D'Amico Ryans will change up their defensive philosophy so far?
No, I don't think you're going to have to change anything. I'm looking at the youngster, the rook, Sam Womack. I think he's going to get his shot on the perimeter. We know they started him out in the slot. He looked good, made some plays. Demo, I think they realized Diamador Lenore is the better scheme fit in the slot because they asked the slot corner to really hold up in the run game, to blitz, and Demo's super physical. Like, that's a strength of Diamador Lenore. So I think that's why they moved Womack back outside, and now he's going to get his chance to shine. I think he's a talented kid. He's sticky in coverage. And then you got the other guy that Keltz mentioned too, Jason Verrett. Jason Verrett working his way back towards ACL that first game last year. I think he's going to be ready to go here pretty soon. So I think you roll out the rook, and you know, if he's a little shaky, then you see, hey, you test out Jason Verrett. Is he ready to roll? Let's get him amped up because, yeah, CB2 is a question mark now opposite Charvarius Ward, which Charvarius Ward, can I just say that he's been phenomenal?
Yeah, well, worth every penny, like John Lynch said. Yeah.
Yeah, compared to last year, obviously the loss of Emmanuel Mosley is tough because last year Verrett went down, and Emmanuel Mosley was that guy that came in and that played a huge role and that literally was one of the most underrated quarterbacks all of last year. But now him going down, obviously having that pick six, which was amazing by him. But it's obviously tough losing a guy like Emmanuel Mosley. And Charvarius Ward and both Emmanuel Mosley have been pretty much locked down this year, and they've been a lockdown cornerback duo. Emmanuel Mosley has been playing really well. Charvarius Ward has been playing really well, and even in that Carolina game, outside of one play where he got Robbie Anderson pushed off a little bit and he got some separation, Charvarius Ward was with the receiver every step of the way, and he made a lot of great plays on Sunday in this whole entire season. So obviously losing Emmanuel Mosley is tough because he's been really great as well. But the Niners have options compared to last year where you had to bring in, a Josh Norman, for example, or Darquez or whoever it might be. You have options this year, right? You have Samuel Womack, who a lot of us thought potentially would be your slot corner coming into this season, especially after that amazing preseason performance that he had. You have Ambry Thomas, who came in last year when you had some injuries. You have options. And Verrett, obviously. Verrett was your cornerback one last year, and now you also have an option of Verrett. Now, I don't think Verrett's going to come in unless he's 100% ready to go, and I don't think he's 100% ready to go. So I definitely don't expect to see Verrett at least for another week or two. I don't think Verrett's going to be that immediate replacement. There was a video of him running and trying to run on Sunday. He didn't look 100% yet. But you have options, right? Compared to last year, you have options and you have guys that can come in, and you guys pretty much mentioned it with, Ambry Thomas or Samuel Womack. The Niners have options this year, and they have more options this year than they had last year. So obviously losing a guy like Emmanuel Mosley is tough, but it definitely helps to have options to replace a guy like him. But Emmanuel Mosley's tough for him, man. I feel so bad for him because he's had a great year, and he's just been really, really, really good. And he potentially could have had a big payday this offseason, if he was able to stay healthy. So obviously him not being able to, play anymore for the rest of the season, definitely got to feel bad for him, especially with the way that he was playing the season at a high elite level. It definitely, you definitely feel bad. You got to feel bad for Emmanuel Mosley.
Yeah,
I'm hoping the injury's bad, but I'm hoping we can get E-Man back on maybe a 2 or 3 year deal at a little bit of a discount coming off the injury. I mean, that we never want E-Man to get hurt because he's a really good player, but hopefully, because if he was playing himself out of the 49ers contractual contention, because he's going to make a lot of money somewhere. Maybe we can bring him back now.
Maybe a blessing in disguise for the 49ers. But hey, you know what? It's a tough business. It's a cold NFL, man. So
and not even Mosley. I don't know if it's a topic, but Jimmy Ward, man, that was another tough one. That was another.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
we're
even know
gonna-
he got hurt until I checked Twitter. I was like, whoa, man, Jimmy Ward. Whoa, what happened to Jimmy Ward? And I see Deshaun Gibson out there, and I go scrolling through Twitter and Google, and I'm like, oh no, like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Ward had just gotten back. I think they said he may have logged 2 plays, and then he broke his hand. Very
I heard it
unfortunate.
happened on the opening
Wow.
kickoff.
Hey, one positive though. Like, I mean, it's hard to have a positive, but with a broken bone. But it's like, I broke
We
my
can wrap
hand.
it up.
I broke my hand 3 times, and one positive about breaking your hand is you can still run. You can still I was playing basketball not when I broke my hand, but I learned to do a lot of other things because of breaking my hand. So sometimes there's blessings in the storm.
Yeah, I think long term, I don't think there's much concern for Jimmy Ward. I mean, he can play with the cast on his hand. He may not be able to pick the ball off, but he can still, as you said, Keltz, he can still run. He can still hit. He may not be able to wrap up, but he can still, hit. I gotta say, hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $2 super chat, Jag. He's talking about the offensive line. He feels the offensive line did pretty well. And also, Jack says, at least this year, our choices are Aubrey or Womack. Exactly. I think we have much better choices this year. We're not pigeonholed to a Josh Norman. And I thought Darqueze Dennard was solid. I think he was kind of penciled in as that nickel starter. But once Sammy Womack came to town, that changed. And I just looked up Darqueze Dennard. It looks like he is still a free agent. He hasn't played in any game this year. So the 49ers might make a call to Darqueze, or the 49ers will, make a move to good old reliable and Dante Johnson. I know you guys love to see Dante Johnson out there on the gridiron. Dante Johnson is on the practice squad. He's healthy, to my recollection. So I won't be surprised if we bring in Dante Johnson.
When I first started watching Niner football, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure I've told some of you guys this, right? Like Jim Tomsula, Chip Kelly, like Dante Johnson has been on this team for that long. Like ever since I started watching Niner football, out of every single roster, Dante Johnson was there. Sometimes he would get cut, but he would always find a way to get back on the team. Dante Johnson, man, he's been here for a long.
He might have been
time.
on this team longer than you've been alive. I mean,
Hey, he is a survivor for sure, man. I got songs in my head right now, just like kind of with Jimmy Garoppolo and Dante Johnson. My imagination is, seeing them later on in the future having some form of a statue together or something.
No, absolutely. And I gotta say, what's good to David McNew. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. I appreciate your insight. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to play outside corner. Unfortunately, since Emmanuel Mosley's got the torn ACL, if I had to guess, I would probably say Samuel Womack on outside. He's got the leverage, he's got the length, he definitely has the long arms, which will definitely help him corral receivers. But he is a rookie, and Shanahan doesn't really like to play rookies if he doesn't have to. I wouldn't be shocked if Dante Johnson, at least they give him an opportunity to start outside. He may not play there the whole game, but they may put him out there. But with this pass rush and D'Amico Ryan still blitzing, it may not be that big of a stretch. As long as the pass rush can get to the quarterback will have less time to throw, and that'll benefit any corner out there.
Hey, was there a quote by Kyle Shanahan, or I could have swore there was a quote by somebody saying how they wish they would have started Hufanga more or earlier. I can't remember. I don't know if either one of y'all heard anything about that, but I could have swore I heard something. Shanahan say something about starting.
He said that this year?
I could have swore in some form of an interview or something. Maybe it could have been Lynch, but hey, I really feel like if Womack is given the opportunity, I mean, we've seen him. He was all around the ball. I feel like he could have maybe not the exact impact like a Hufanga, but when you got those kind of those kind of guys that are just magnetic to the football, I hope he gets opportunity because I think he's going to be another dude that could create turnovers for sure.
No, absolutely. And we have to talk about, unfortunately, Emmanuel Mosley. He's got the torn ACL. He's got the season-ending injury. We also suffered some other injuries in the game as well. I mean, whenever your kicker is kicking the ball off, you never want your kicker to make tackles, right? And that's exactly what happened to Robbie Gould. He had 2 tackles, so obviously the special teams unit is definitely something the 49ers need to figure out. That was the first game I saw this year where the kickoff coverage, it allowed some big runs, and it put the defense in a not great situation. I think the Panthers started on their 50 or a little bit past their 50 on a few occasions due to the kickoff. But got to also talk about, we talked a little bit about Jimmy Ward. He's got the broken hand. Robbie Gould, he's got the knee contusion. And then we got to talk about Nick Bosa having the groin injury. And I think I heard that Nick Bosa had a similar injury in college. And it's weird. Nick Bosa's brother, Joey, also has a groin injury now. So, I mean, what do you guys think about these injuries? You know, do we need to fire the strength and conditioning staff? You know, I mean, that's what I keep seeing all on Twitter. What do you guys think? You know, I know we think that this happens only to the Niners, but just look across the league. Guys are getting hurt left or right. But what say you? How should the Niners fix this issue in a contact violent sport? What say you, Amin?
I don't really think you could fix this issue because it's football, right? And it's a very physical game. Now, I think one injury that could have potentially been avoided, which is the Robbie Gould injury, because if the special teams was just doing their job, I don't think Robbie Gould would have gotten hurt, especially on that particular play that he did. But I don't really think you can avoid it. Now, in training camp and certain things like that, yes, you can there are certain precautions that you could take. But in a football game, it's football, right? Anything can happen. We see non-contact injuries. We see contact injuries. It's a physical game. So naturally, you will have injuries in any sort of football game. And it happens to other teams in the league as well, right? It's not just the Niners. But it obviously sucks when you see guys, your starters, very important players of your team, like Emmanuel Mosley, like Jimmy Ward, like Robbie Gould, and like Nick Bosa go down. It's obviously tough. It really is, especially, you know, Jimmy Ward now potentially being out for majority of the year, if not the whole year, and Mosley. It's obviously it's tough, right? It really is. And I don't know if the last time I saw a Niners game where someone didn't go down for like a couple of seconds or someone didn't get injured. It's been that long where I haven't seen, you know, some Niners player get hurt, but it's football. Injuries are gonna happen, and it just, certain injuries are more avoidable than others, but it's football and injuries. It's a physical game, and injuries do happen. And some of these injuries, they're obviously tough, but it's football and injuries happen.
Hey, real quick. JR Meadows says the kicker is a part of the game. There's no doubt about that, but I definitely don't want him to be making tackles. He's too important. I know the 49ers will be bringing in some kickers, you know, to kick just in case Robbie Gould won't be available in Atlanta.
Fun fact, or not a fun fact, actually a very sad fact, is when the Niners last time Robbie Gould got hurt was in that Seattle game, Monday Night Football. Niners make a huge comeback. And then Chase McLaughlin or something like that, he had to make the game-winning kick in overtime, and he just misses it bad. And you're like, oh.
Go get my boy Rodrigo Blankenship.
yes, baller. Yes.
The Colts cut him. I mean, he's a good field goal kicker, but he's not good on kickoffs. I think that's why the Colts cut him. He kicked a couple out of bounds, but I mean, and they didn't want Wisnowski doing kickoffs, so they might not go after him. But I like Blankenship.
Yeah,
what a great last name too.
Yeah, and the guy wears goggles.
Says I think it's our physical style of play. I don't think there's a strength and conditioning issue. Jag says it's freaking football. These young men are gladiators. All right, I feel you, Jag. What do you think about this, Barry Obalo? Do the 49ers need to change up their strength and conditioning staff, or hey, it's just football and injuries are going to happen?
No, the NFL needs to change. And what I'm getting at is we got to get rid of turf. That was turf they were playing on in Carolina, right? Yeah. And it's a why. That's not a dome. Yeah. It's like, why are they playing on turf in an open-aired stadium? Like, it makes
cheaper to maintain. To me. Cheaper to maintain.
Man, you know what, man? That's BS. Because if you look at the numbers, and I tried to do a quick Google, and the first thing that comes out, ACL injuries are more likely to occur on artificial turf than natural grass. That's the first thing that pops up. So it's like, get rid of turf. I know Kittle and Bosa and these guys put a petition out last year on Twitter that I went and signed. So that's my reaction. Nothing with the trainers, nothing with that, you know. And the Nick Bosa injury, groin injuries have so many different levels of severity. Like you could have like, you know, I'm Bay Area baller. I played some hoops. I pulled my groin before and I couldn't finish the game. I had to probably one of the first few times I had to flag someone to come fill in my spot. And I was out for a week or two. Right. So that's what I'm hoping it is with Nick Bosa. Hopefully it's a minor strain. Groin injury will heal faster than a hamstring injury, in my opinion. But as soon as like groin, there's also like your core muscle can be involved. Like you said, his brother's going to be out like 6 to 8 weeks with that groin injury. So like I said, there's different levels of severity, and you just hope Bosa's on the lesser side of that.
Yeah, I feel. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, I feel like you know, I hate to bring it back up, but you know, running your quarterback, you know, between the trenches continuously, that's one thing. But you get a broken hand and a lot of these other injuries, like I don't feel like it's anybody's fault personally, not Kyle Shanahan's, no trainers, no nothing like that. Unless there's some stuff behind the scenes that I don't know about. But yeah, to Bay Area's point, you know, the turf fields. And the thing that sucks about it is you hear in every single business you go to, and the NFL is a business, but you hear safety first. And it's not safety first, it's money first. You know, I know if the safety is
That's
taken
so right.
care of, hey, I know if the safety is taken care of, that's going to save the business some extra money. It kind of goes hand in hand. But let's be honest here. It's about money. And that because I looked it up as well. I think it's $23,000 a year to take care of a grass field. It's $5,000 to take care of artificial turf. And you know, these owners and these people that are about their money, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna, hey, that those years add up. The maintenance, the bugs, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Past it, whatever the case is, but it sucks to see. You would like to believe that majority of businesses put their heart in it and don't make, you know, business decisions all the time, but it is what it is. I don't think it's a 49er issue. I wouldn't doubt it if they do a study like, you know, Bay Area was talking about. It feels like majority of the ACLs come on turf, you know, and it just sucks that it's got to take so much to happen for maybe there might be a change. And then you know, the only bright spot that I kind of looked at was, you know, it gives other guys an opportunity to shine, you know, with but it's also, you know, it's a brutal sport. You know what I'm saying? It's players are getting faster, stronger, and bigger. And I think that's another reason why we're seeing injuries mount up. And then they're trying to do stuff to protect them. It doesn't matter if you flag guys. Like guys are flying around. Guys are just way faster, stronger, and bigger. And so we're going to continue to see guys slam their heads on the ground. I think who was it? The wide receiver from the Saints.
KJ
you
Hamler.
know, the rookie. Oh,
KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler.
No, not him.
I think
Olave.
Yeah, it was reminiscent to Tua. You know, you're going to continue seeing guys you know, bigger, faster, stronger. You're going to see these kind of injuries regardless of what kind of style, scheme, any of it. You know, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You know, it makes me want to play football just thinking about the brutalness of it, but everybody's different.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about KJ Hamler after the Thursday night game, just slamming his helmet down on the floor. If you don't mind, Jay, before real quick, did you guys see what happened after Monday Night Football?
No.
Devontae Adams got pissed and he literally shoved a cameraman in his way and shoved a cameraman right after the game.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's messed up, man. That's messed up. No matter what your record says or anything like that, you still got to treat other human beings properly, man. That was messed up.
Yeah, and now the Raiders are now 1-4, but you know, that's typical Raider-ish, man. That's typical Raider-ish. Gotta say, hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $5 super chat, Blue True. Blue True says, thanks for the stream tonight at Keltz, Bay Area Baller, Amin, the Dream, and Jay in the Bay. Well, we thank you for joining us tonight. If you guys are enjoying the stream right now, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. let us know you guys and gals are enjoying the stream. As far as the injuries, yeah, I just don't think the strength and conditioning staff really has much to do, especially with you look at Emmanuel Mosley. I mean, how many times has he made that type of play? He's just jumping up trying to contest the ball versus a receiver. I mean, it looked kind of a freakish type injury, and I don't think there's anything you can really do about that. Jimmy Ward, I mean, he just come back from the hamstring, 2 plays, and then he gets hurt. But as far as I want to talk about like the effects of the injury, I think the Nick Bosa, I know we have a lot of depth at that defensive line, Kamiko Toure, Drake Jackson, Kerry Hyder, Charles Omenwehi. We got a lot of depth there, but none of those guys can replace Nick Bosa. But I think a collaborative effort can help in that area on the defensive line. But I honestly, I'm concerned about Emmanuel Mosley being out. I thought he was playing at like a Pro Bowl level, and it sucks. As Amin the Dream has said, man, he's playing in his contract year. He's trying to get the bag next year, and now it's less likely that he'll get that. So very unfortunate for Emmanuel Mosley. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if D'Amico Ryans will continue to blitz, because I know we've had success in blitzing, but when you blitz, you leave your corners on an island. I think you could do that with E-Man and Mooney, but now with E-Man not there, I would be surprised if we still continue to blitz as often as we do. I guess it depends on obviously who we're playing, what weapons they have, but we still have a long season, 12 more games left, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Gotta say, what's good to Shifty's 49ers Talk. Thanks for tuning in tonight. He says, hope all you guys are having a great night. Raiders lose in typical Raiders fashion. Comical at this point. Oh, and quick fact before we move on from the turf. Keltz mentioned the cost to maintain the turf. Obviously, it's cheaper to maintain the turf. And a lot of these stadiums, they hold other outside events, concerts, and things like that. So the turf is easier just to manage. But then when you look at your players, your $1 billion players, don't you want them to play on like the best surface, the safest surface for their playing? I don't understand other than money. I get it. These owners are billionaires, but I agree. I think we should have grass or at least have the same surface. I think George Kittle mentioned that he had an interview where he said basically every turf at every stadium is different. No one has the same turf. This is what George Kittle said. So I think there needs to be some, uniformity along the stadiums. So, but unfortunately, injuries are continue. We will continue to see these injuries, and it's just unfortunate. J.R. Meadow says cutting back on turf lowers your career. I would agree with that. J.R. Meadow says next man up, Jason. I think he's talking about Jason Verrett. And I think Grant Cohen has said that Jason Verrett, he warmed up, but he just didn't look right. So I agree with what Amin said. We're not going to put him out there unless he's 100%.
Yeah, I also heard the same thing, and it is real concerning. I mean, I didn't see the video, but he said he was jogging and then reaching for that knee. So I mean, that's never a good. Who knows if he was just adjusting his clothing or whatever? But that's right. It's like I hate getting concerned about something that probably could be nothing. But I mean, when you're reaching for something that's had surgery on it, that's never a good sign. But
that's the thing. That's the thing that sucks about this Mosley injury is that I went on a show with Wayne Breezy on Wednesday. And we were talking about it, right? Having Verrett back, having Ward back. Now, obviously, having Ward back, that definitely helped. But him going out, it's not as big of a concern because Deshaun Gibson has been playing really, really well. And Talanoa Hufanga, he's been really, really great as well this season. But with that cornerback position, having Verrett coming back, you didn't have to rush him before. You didn't have to rush him back. He could take as much time as he wanted because he wasn't that cornerback 1 this year. He was cornerback 3. And the way that Mosley and Trivarius Ward have been playing, both of those guys have been playing at elite level. So you didn't have to rush Jason Verrett back. But now, obviously, I think the Niners will take their time with him and see if he's ready to go. But now it becomes a little bit more of a priority to try to potentially get him back on the field as soon as they can. Because now with Mosley getting injured, if those rookies struggle a little bit, you probably want Jason Verrett out there who's a veteran and when healthy or when he's been able to stay on the field, who's been really solid as well. So now it's a little bit more of a priority to get him back on the field than it was before. Before Mosley was injured, but now it's a little bit more of a priority.
So we talked about the injuries. We talked about the great things that happened in this game. Let's talk a little bit about the bad things that happened in this game, opposite of the injuries. So based on what you guys saw, one thing that the 49ers need to work on going into Atlanta this Sunday. And we'll start off with Bay Area Baller. What's one thing the 49ers you think need to work on? What's one thing that they can get better before we play Atlanta?
I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, Diamador Lenore got beat on a wheel route up the sideline, but that's really not what I want to focus on because all DBs get beat at some point. But what I was disappointed in is Jordan Mason. He gets no touches like Tevin Coleman's getting the rock. Like, okay, Tevin Coleman, he had 2 TDs. He looked all right. But really, I was disappointed that Jordan Mason didn't get no touches, no burn. I think he's the better player at this point of his career. I would think you would want to get a guy like that going. That way, maybe by the latter part of this season, he's got some touches, he's got some seasoning. But hey, it was Tevin Coleman, fresh off the practice squad, and he scored a couple touchdowns. So it's not like I'm poo-pooing it too bad, but I was disappointed that we got 0 Jordan Mason.
What say you, Keltz?
Man, just to go off of your point, Bay Area, it's like I've been thinking about this same thing too when it comes to Jordan Mason, and I keep on thinking about so many positives of this year after the early portion of the year. After my fire Kyle Shanahan talk, but I think hey, maybe they're saving the best for last. They know something about Mason. I'm sure they know just as much or more than we do when it comes to Mason and whatnot. And maybe he doesn't need seasoning. Maybe he's going to be, maybe they don't want someone like him going down when it's really.
I don't think that's it though, Keltz.
Nah.
Because when you got your guy, if you think he's the guy, you give him the rock.
Here's my honestly. Here's why I think Kyle's not giving Jordan Mason the rock. Number one, we obviously know he doesn't like playing rookies, and we see that. Now, I am happy that we saw Danny Gray on one play, and we saw him a little bit, which is definitely an improvement. But we know Kyle doesn't like to play rookies. Unless he has to play rookies, Kyle's not going to play his rookies. And another thing I've also realized about Kyle is like Tevin Coleman was out there, but Kyle Shanahan has a relationship with Tevin Coleman, and like same thing with Alex Mack, right? Alex Mack, an Atlanta guy, right? He brings in some of the players that he's had experiences with before, and he favors them in a way, and he favored Tevin Coleman.
To a fault though. Mohamed Sanu was trash last year. He was trash. I'm sorry.
He was.
And Kyle kept rowing him out there for the first fucking 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying, right? Like Kyle likes his either players that he's coached before, and he'll pick them any day of the week over like a rookie that might have more potential or upside. He'll pick the Atlanta guy.
Hey, there's a reason why when I made the intro that I put all the fire around you when it was your turn in the intro.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I love the passion, Bay Area. I love the passion.
Bring it. Hey, yeah, bring it. Hey, if it's on your heart, man, hey, spit that fire. You know what I'm saying? Just like J.R. Meadows just said, we got 4 soldiers up in the Niner gang right here. Sometimes I like to be reserved and chill, but I feel it though, man. It's like, I'm trying to get back on point to what Jay asked and what was the bads, and it's like. There wasn't a whole lot of negatives. I took from this game, I looked at it. I thought it would be, I think my prediction was 31-10 or something like that. And shoot, Jimmy almost had the exact game that I kind of predicted. I think I said something about 240 something yards, 19 of 27 or something like that, and 2 touchdowns, no picks. So, good job, Jimmy. With that, the negatives, special teams, of course, Lenore, I'm trying to think of really anything else. And it was a super solid game. We won by 3 scores. Hey man, a lot of positives, man. Not too much, not too much to worry about. I mean, there's a gang of injuries, of course, but it's like this is also the deepest team that I can remember the San Francisco 49ers having ever. You know, yes, there were a ton of stars 1994, but I can't remember this team being this deep, and it's gonna. The one thing that does suck though with Emmanuel Mosley, it feels like we were on the verge of maybe talking about an all-time great defense in NFL history. And let's hope that we could really, get that for these guys and this coach. But it was also amazing to see D'Amico Ryans, doing his air punches. I thought that I loved to see that. I thought that was dope. Just that, he cares. He cares about it. He's passionate about it. It's dope to see. So not a lot of negatives, which is a good thing. Hopefully we could string together a gang of wins, just like Kyle Shanahan was preaching at the end of the game.
Hey, absolutely. I got to give a few shouts out to people in the chat. Got Jag with another super chat, man. Appreciate that. He says the only negative was the injuries. Glad we're in first place. John also chimes in. What's good? John says the negatives were special teams. Siegen
block
says
kick too.
Oh
You got a kick block, right?
Was that Dwelly again? Was that? I know it was on the same side, right? It was the same side that got beat. But I was trying to see. I was like, oh, don't tell me that's Dwelly again. Switch that up real quick.
Wait, the Dwelly play? Are you referring to? Was that a special teams play or?
Yeah, the block kick.
Oh yeah, the blocked field goal kick. Yeah. Oh yeah, I would have to look at the replay. I'm not sure whose responsibility that was. It looked like it was up the middle, right? It wasn't anyone that came from the side. It looked like it was right up the middle.
I could have maybe I seen it wrong. I could have swore it came off of the left side.
Okay. I might have to look at that again. But yeah, you're right. The special teams definitely, and I mean, we brought in a new special teams coordinator. We added Orrin Burks, we added George Odom, we added Ray. These guys are supposed to contribute to special teams. But yeah,
I'm disappointed in Ray.
Yeah.
Ray was a guy I was hyping up. I was really excited about the signing, but I thought he was going to have a little more juice. Hey, maybe he hasn't fully unleashed the juice box, but I thought he had some more juice.
I think he's shifty in the return game, but I'm just worried that he's going to fumble. And he's fumbled, I think, in at least 2 different games so far this season. And I think the 49ers have allowed 2 blocked field goals, I believe. So yeah, that's definitely not good. Now, Mitch has been pretty good punting the ball, but outside of him, the special teams has been a little questionable, and it hasn't really came to bite us yet. But in playoff games, it could. That's for sure. Now, my negatives for the game, I would say, were the penalties. We had 9 penalties. It wasn't a ton of yardage, but it got kind of sloppy. I saw a lot of flags being thrown, and definitely that's something we can clean up. As far as any other negatives, oh yeah, Debo. So it was a weird game. I know Debo scored the touchdown, but we didn't really use him running the ball up the middle, which I think is a good thing. But he was targeted 9 times. He only had 2 catches, so I think that efficiency definitely could be improved. I think Debo had 1 or 2 drops in the game, so I think that's something that could be improved. But these are just a few negatives. Hopefully the special teams, whatever they need to do, whatever they need to work out, and they just continue to get better. That's all we can really hope for. John brings up a great point. Now, when I saw this live, I was like, Ayuk, what are you doing? He pulled like a Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. And I don't know if Ayuk thought that the ball wasn't live. Maybe that's why he didn't dive for the ball, but it looked like he just didn't give full effort. And I just didn't like his body language on that play. Do you guys know what play I'm talking about? What play John is talking about? I think it was when George Kittle fumbled the ball. He caught it, ran a little bit. It got punched out, and the ball came out. And Ayuk didn't really want the ball.
It was like a Panthers player kind of dove on it and looked like he had it, right? And then he lost the ball.
Right.
And so, yeah. I mean, I didn't really see it as Ayuk's fault, but I don't think I got the best look at it. I might have been like writing a note down or something. So, Keltz, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was kind of. I was more focused on Kittle fumbling.
Yeah,
Of course, you know, in the aftermath, you always want to hustle till the whistle, but you know, that was like a human. We all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And it looked like it could have been recovered and whatnot, but of course, yeah, hustle, 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 but it looked like it wasn't even a clean punch to get the ball out. It looked like it was pretty, like, I mean, it was a hard wrap up, a hard, kind of tackle. My first thing was, hey, if Kittle, doesn't fumble, there's not a mistake by a Ayuk, you know what I'm
right.
saying? So, but I mean, hey man, it's a part of the game, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes that ball is going to spit out no matter how aware you are, no matter how tough you are. Just one of those. It's something kind of minor. I'm sure, Ayuk's probably going to be much more aware of anything like that through the rest of the season. So maybe it's a good thing to get him on point. Hey, all the way to the whistle. The basics do get forgotten. So hopefully this, gets everybody a little bit more on point.
Did you see that play, Amin?
I did see that play, and just like Keltz said, I was like, "Damn, Kittle fumbled the football." Because I think they showed up a stat a little bit after, was like, this is like Kittle's second fumble in his career, something like that. They put up a stat on the screen, but it's obviously unusual to see Kittle fumble the football. But I was more focused on Kittle than I was on Ayuk, and I agree with John. I think it was the lack of awareness, and you saw right away a Panthers defender just jump on it. Two Panthers defenders jumping on it. I don't know if Ayuk really could, and obviously the Panthers defender lost it, but I don't really think Ayuk could have wrestled and grabbed that ball. But overall, like I'm not too worried about it, and the Niners got a W at the end of the day, so
It
can't complain.
it does feel like a common thing where, and I know we've all probably seen it, where the first scripted drive is just beautiful, it's looking nice, and then a lot of times the second drive is looking nice, and it feels like, I don't know if it's happened every game, but it feels like it's kind of becoming a little bit of a pattern where it looks real nice. We score like, okay, hey, this game's going to be beautiful. And then it feels like it just gets tougher and tougher and tougher as the game goes on. And so one thing in my head, I was like, hey, Kyle, man, just script every drive. I know you like to say, hey, you can't do that because you never know what part of the field you're going to be on, what the game's bringing at you, what you're going to do when, certain things happen. But hey, man, I would have a few scripts drawn up, and it just sucks when you do see a fumble because it was reminiscent of like when Debo fumbled versus the Bears. Like things are moving smooth, and then those momentum changers, sometimes it affects the whole rest of the game,
They're
in this,
game changers.
especially when you're playing good teams. Like, that, hey, we got away with it with the Carolina Panthers, but hopefully, and then the penalties. God, I didn't know we had that many penalties. Hopefully, Debo, hey, there are a lot of things to work on. Debo dropping passes, Kittle fumbling, special teams, penalties, get back to the basics. And hey, man, it's still like Jesus, hey, we were able to still dominate. So that's a good thing. But versus good teams, we got to sharpen it up.
And and speaking of good teams, got to ask you guys, are the 49ers the best team in the NFC conference? Um, Here are the conference standings. I'm going to blow that up so everyone can see it. We know the Philadelphia Eagles are 5-0, undefeated. But there are also some other good NFC conference teams. I don't know if everyone thinks if the Cowboys or Giants are legit, but they're 4-1 respectively. Um, NFC North, the Vikings are 4-1, the Packers are 3-2, the Buccaneers are 3-2. You can't really count out TB12. So knowing these records, is it safe to say the 49ers are the best team in the NFC conference? What say you, Amin the Dream?
This is a tough one, man. You see Philly going 5-0. You see the NFC East just having a good season. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one. I'll say they potentially could be. I think right now, obviously with the injuries with Mosley, and then obviously in the beginning of the season losing Trey Lance, I think that obviously was a huge loss for this team. But I think they potentially could be, right? Because we obviously know the 49ers defense has been really great. Now we have to see what they'll do with that Mosley, but we obviously know how great this 49ers defense has been. But I've said it, and I said this before, is that really the key to this season, even more than the defense, in my opinion, is just Jimmy Garoppolo. Is that can Jimmy Garoppolo just do what he's asked, and can he be a smart game manager? Because if Jimmy Garoppolo can do that, this team can be a successful football team, because we already know defensively what this team can do. But like going back to that Denver game, if the offense is struggling and Jimmy Garoppolo is making bad mistakes and bad decisions, and we're struggling offensively, no matter how great the defense plays, if we can't put up points, that's we're in a tight spot. So it depends honestly on how the offense and Jimmy Garoppolo plays, and if they can consistently do what Jimmy Garoppolo's been able to do and what they've been able to do for the past couple of weeks, I think this team can be successful, and I think this team potentially could be the best team in the NFC. But I think the Niners are definitely top 3. I think they're definitely a top 3 team in the NFC, but I don't know if I would proclaim them number 1 best team in the NFC. Mainly because of Jimmy G in this offense, but even though this offense has been good the last 2 weeks, but I don't know if I would say they're the best team quite yet.
Bay Area baller, tell me. I know you think the Niners are the best team in the NFC. Tell me.
You know that I think that?
Absolutely.
Hey, I don't know, Jay. No, really, we're up there. I think we're up there,
yeah.
I think we're like the 3rd best team. Like, if I had to pick a team to win the Super Bowl, like, hey, baller, you got to bet your life what team's going to win the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles are playing really good. They're the last undefeated team in the NFL. And then I still think the Tampa Bay Bucks look dangerous. They've got their weapons back. Mike Evans is back from his suspension. Chris Godwin's back from injury. Tom Brady, man. Tom Brady looked good. He could have had a couple touchdowns. Evans got tackled at the 1. So essentially what I'm getting at is I think the Eagles, the Bucks, kind of my top 2 teams. And then I got the Niners 3rd. I think we're right there. We're in contention. We can beat any team. Don't get me wrong. We can beat any team in the NFL. But if I had to power rank the NFC, I'd probably go Eagles, Bucks, Niners right now.
Keltz, set the record, man. I know what you're going to say. Set the record, Keltz.
Man, Garoppolo don't care about no Josh Allen because he don't even play versus him. The Niners got the number 1 defense in the league on a historical pace, keeping up with the 85 Bears. We got a running game. It doesn't matter if people think Jeff Wilson Jr. is number 20th in the league or 40th. That man's the 7th best rusher in the NFL with the most brilliant head coach in the NFL, but potentially the best defensive coach in the NFL of DeMeco Ryans. Man, we got the heart of John Lynch running the show. The 49ers could be the best. I hate to break everybody's hearts, but I can only think about what it would be like if Trey Lance was getting into a groove right now. Could you just imagine? I just want to take a minute to just leave reality and go to fantasy land for a second and think about how comfortable Trey Lance would be right now. And because I think I'd be saying, we're definitely the best team in the NFL right now, but it's coulda, woulda, shoulda. So I'm going to leave fantasy land for a second, come back down to earth and say, hey, we are what our record says we are. We had the potential to be 5-0. We've dominated 3 games. We've kind of, let 2 games slip away. It is what it is. The Eagles are on top right now, mostly because I do believe the Eagles, and I hate to say it, but the Cowboys as well, is they got great defenses as well, even though ours might be better. But then I look at like a Jalen Hurts and I start matching up a Jalen Hurts with a Garoppolo, start matching up a Dak Prescott. It's going to be tough, man. I feel like we could beat any team, but then I think those teams feel exactly the same way. We don't know what Hurts is going to do in the playoffs. I don't think he's been there yet. I'm not fearful of Prescott or Cooper Rush, or call me crazy, I'm not fearful of Tom Brady for whatever reason. I always like to bet for Tom Brady when it comes to like, hey man, don't count out that old dude, but I could see us handling Tom Brady in the playoffs. That's just what I think. Patrick Mahomes might be a little bit of a different story, but it is what it is.
Did you hear what Julian Edelman said? Julian Edelman said his prediction for the handsome bowl game, which he's calling the NFC Championship game, was Jimmy G versus Tom Brady. He called it the handsome bowl game.
Wow.
At least somebody said, at least one of those Patriots said something nice about Jimmy, because you hear Martellus Bennett and Julie Edelman were bagging on him the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
I would agree with Keltz. I'm not afraid of any team in the NFC conference, but I don't think the 49ers are the best right now. I mean, losing to Chicago, losing to Denver, those are terrible losses right now. But I'm not, if we played Philly, I wouldn't be nervous. I think we could match up well with Philly. I'm definitely not scared of Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott. TB12, yeah. I mean, he's one of the most successful quarterbacks in NFL history. So I think he would be a problem. But I think the Niners probably top 2, top 3 in the NFC conference right now. And I think that's and we're first in the NFC West. So we're taking care of business so far. But yeah, we definitely could be 5-0, that's for sure. We have a segment that we like to do with Straight Out of the Bay. We like to do predictions for 4 games next week. So let's get into those predictions right now.
I've had a pretty bad week, man. I was about to say at the beginning of the show, from 4-1, I went from 3-1. I went to 4-4. I mean, I missed this week. I missed badly this week.
We've got some great games coming up. I mean, some prime time games. Let's start off in the NFC. Let's start off with the NFC West. We got the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. I'm hoping for a tie in this game. Let me double check to see who is home.
Seahawks are home.
Seahawks are at home. Seahawks have been able to put up points, which is kind of surprising. But I'm going to take Arizona. I'm taking Arizona. Are you going to keep track, Keltz?
Yeah, I got it, man.
Okay. So I got Arizona beating Seattle. What say you? Amin the Dream.
Oh man, like should I go on the Seattle train? I was on it last week. Gino definitely didn't let me down, and I had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on my fantasy team. Thank you so much, Gino, for throwing in the football. But man, Gino? He's been playing lights out though. Like I think Gino has been playing really, really well. Some of the passes that he made in New Orleans. Like he's definitely shown some flashes, and he definitely has quieted the doubters, in my opinion, so far. This is a tough one. I'll go Arizona. I'm gonna be safe. I'll pick Arizona. Arizona came off a tough loss against the Eagles. I'll go Arizona. I'm just gonna go with the safer team to pick, and I'll go with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I am going to keep my eye on the rookie running back for the Seattle Seahawks,
Kenneth Walker.
I loved him coming out of Michigan State. Seahawks picked him. Now he's the starter with Rashad Penny. I believe I heard Penny's going to be out for the year. Yep. That being said, I'm going to go Arizona Cardinals.
All right, 3-3. What you got, Keltz? You going to make it a clean sweep?
All right. I'm kind of, I don't know why I want to pick Seattle throughout this whole year, even on other game predictions. And man, is Geno Smith the best quarterback in the NFC West? Like, holy crap. Like, I don't know how many points a game they're putting up, but
he's playing like it.
As good as as many points as they're putting up, it feels like they're giving up just as many freaking points. So it's a trip. It feels like, Russell Wilson leaves and it's like all of a sudden, I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, I'm going to pick Seattle. Woo. just to be different. And I've been picking them, God, I hate to pick either one of these teams, but it's hard to trust Arizona at the same time. And then it's in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Seattle for this one for sure.
All right. So three of us got Cardinals, and Keltz is a lone wolf with the Seattle Seahawks. All right.
I got to catch Bay Area. I got to catch.
Let's get into NFC East division matchup on Sunday Night Football prime time in Philadelphia. The Eagles are 5-0, looking to go 6-0 against I think Cooper Rush is still the starting quarterback. Even if it was Dak, I don't think it would really matter. I'm taking Philly. They look pretty good. Jalen Hurts looks legit. They got weapons galore on both sides of the ball. I'm taking Philly to beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football in front of the world. What say you, Keltz?
And it's in Philadelphia.
In Philly.
God, man, it feels like that's the easy pick is the Eagles. Yeah, this one's tough. This one is tough. You know what? It just feels like it's going to be hard for the Eagles to continue. God, man, I want to pick the Eagles, but I want to pick the Cowboys. You know what? I'm going to just shoot the shot, and I'm going to say the Cowboys and continue to be different.
Philly.
I'm with Keltz, man. Like I want to pick Philly, but like Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott, whoever it might be, man. Like last year, the Cowboys beat them twice. Now, obviously, Philly's a much better football team than they were last year, but something's telling me, man. Something's telling me that the Dallas Cowboys are gonna win on Sunday Night Football. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I don't want to pick the Cowboys, but my heart's telling me to go with the Cowboys. I feel an upset coming, and I'm gonna pick the Dallas Cowboys.
All righty. And gotta say what's good to Tommy Huxley. Appreciate you coming into the stream tonight. This is Straight Out of the Bay. We go live every Monday night after the Monday night game. So come through, come through, Tommy. Come through.
Let them know. Let them know. Where you at, Tommy?
Exactly, Tommy. Straight Out of the Bay, man. Let's get into the next game. Giants versus Ravens. This game is in New York. The Giants just beat the Green Bay Packers in London. The Giants, they're 4-1. But I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking Lamar Jackson over Daniel Jones any day of the week. That's who I got. Baltimore. What say you, Bay Area baller?
Baltimore.
Who you got, Amin?
I picked against the Giants last week, so I don't know if I should go 2 for 2 with the upset. I'm gonna go with the Giants. I know I'm gonna be wrong on this one, but I was wrong last week as well. I'm gonna go with the Giants, even though I don't think there's a very small chance this happens. So I'm gonna go with the Giants with the upset. They've been playing some good football, man. Saquon Barkley has been really, really, really good so far as the season progresses, and I'm gonna go with the Giants. Even though I feel like it's not gonna happen, I'm gonna go with the Giants.
Hey, man, I'm tired of people bagging on Daniel Jones, though. I woke up at 6:30 and watched that game, and this dude was battling through a bad ankle. They're still calling QB draws for him on this bum ankle, but he powered through it, also made some nice throws. So, hey, ease up on the Daniel Jones hate, all right?
Danny Dimes. Yeah, man, I got the Giants as well. I don't know. I just always feel like, man, there's half of the NFL games is always just going to kind of go the other way. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised that, these games kind of go the other way, but it would also be a trip to see the Giants at 5-1. I don't think any one of us expected that in the beginning of the year. Hey, when you got a special guy like Saquon Barkley, it's proven to make a difference. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Giants.
All right, Giants it is. Final prediction of the show. We got the Buffalo Bills visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, what a matchup this will be. Obviously, they had a hell of a playoff game last year. Two great not up and coming. These are two great quarterbacks we have in the NFL. The Chiefs are at home. It's a 125 kick. I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. Who you got, Bay Area baller?
I mean, this is tough. This is tough. I'm gonna take the road team. I'm gonna roll with Josh Allen and the Bills.
All right.
Bills. I'm gonna go with the Bills. The Chiefs. If these two teams were to meet in the playoffs, I would probably pick the Chiefs by a small margin. But since the regular season, the Bills came off a tough loss in the divisional round. The Bills are motivated. They're ready to go. They want revenge, and I think the Bills get it done.
This is hard for me because I want to pick the Bills, but then I think Patrick Mahomes is better regardless of what numbers say, or when you win a Super Bowl and you've been there and done that and you got the experience, and there's just certain things that Patrick Mahomes could do that no other quarterback in the NFL can do. I feel like Kansas City could run a little bit better, but then I feel like the Bills' defense is a little bit better. So, this one is tough for me. So you two on the bottom pick the Bills and you pick the Chiefs?
Yes, sir.
This one's tough. I feel
Jared
like
McKinnon on the Chiefs had a couple of nice runs today.
I'm
You know,
flipping if
It's all these former 49ers players that like just didn't work out with the Niners. Like you mean in Miami, obviously Raheem Mostert had a great game against the Jets. You see River Craycraft, Trent Sherfield catching touchdowns. You see Dante Pettis against the Niners catching touchdowns. Like now Jerick McKinnon's having himself a day with the Chiefs. Like all these former 49ers players, they be having some games from time to time.
I flipped a coin and I'm picking the Bills.
All right, so I'm the lone wolf picking the Chiefs at home in Arrowhead. You guys know how loud that stadium is going to be for the Buffalo Bills. They're going to have to use silent cadence. They're not going to be able to hear 2 feet from each other. That stadium's going to be right.
I heard him crying all night tonight on Monday Night Football during this Raiders game.
Well, they were getting blown out the first half.
The Bills ain't
crying.
The Bills aren't even gonna need it. They ain't gonna need it. They already know they're gonna probably be passing 60 times in this game. It might look like the Dolphins. Go ahead.
That's the thing about this Chiefs team, man. Like even when the Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl that year, the AFC Championship game, the divisional round, they were down 17. But when you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and that duo, like.
Yep.
Like literally anything is possible. Like anything is possible with that football team. You could be down 20 and you still don't feel like you're out of that game because when you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid and that duo, it's such a powerful duo. It honestly is.
I hate to bring it up, and God, I hate comparisons, but it's hard not to compare when you're watching other teams. And I seen flashbacks of the Super Bowl. Like, oh man,
2010, man. I was about to put that out on Twitter. 2010.
I had flashbacks of the Super Bowl. I had flashbacks of like, man, what are we gonna do? Hey, I know our defense is great, but when we're facing some of these guys, man, I start thinking of all kinds of scenarios in my head about what we have and what we don't have and what it might look like, and hopefully, we got an all-time type of defense. One of the major things that does have me optimistic though is. Just even one guy like a Hufanga or a Mooney Ward could be all the difference in the world, and we preached it. I'm sure all of us took turns preaching how important the secondary is. I did some research a while back. 24 of the last 27 Super Bowl winning teams have had a Pro Bowler in the secondary. And I feel like just even the difference of a guy like a Hufanga and a Mooney Ward could be the difference in not repeating a 2019 type episode versus a Patrick Mahomes type. And I can't wait to see us play the Chiefs. I can't wait to see us play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to face, potentially some of the best offenses in the league to really gauge to see what we're about. I can't wait for it. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We still have a long season ahead of us. Huge shout out to everyone that came through in the chat, whether you gave a super chat or whether you contributed through commenting. We really appreciate it. Make sure you support these 3 gentlemen, all their social media, Keltz Chronicles, Bay Area Baller 18, Amin the Dream. Make sure you check out their YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe, like their videos, all their content. Make sure you check these guys out. And I will say this, but just my quick final thoughts, just like a quick 30-second. I think obviously super geeked up for the game against Atlanta. I think something that we need to watch out for is our interior defense. Obviously, we didn't really get the chance to talk about it, but Armstead and Kinlaw, they've got injuries. I think those are lasting injuries. It's going to be the entire season where the Niners are going to have to manage those injuries. So I think that's one thing that the Niners. Yeah. Well, Kinlaw, he's got the fluid in the knee, right? And it seems like that's just going to be like a nagging
off and
issue.
on.
Yeah, off and on. He had the surgery last year on his knee.
That's true.
And I just think that's going to be a lingering issue. Eric Armstead's got the Liz Frank foot injury. The only way you get better from that, the only way you let that heal is you have to stay off your feet. You can't do that if you're trying to tackle the ball carrier or going after the quarterback. So Shanahan did mention that Armstead could be a candidate for IR. So I think that's just going to be something, I think if there is a weakness on this defense, it could be the interior just because the lack of depth. Because we got Gibbons, and granted, Gibbons, Ridgeway, Akeem Spence, they're playing well, but can they do that,
on a continuous
10,
basis?
12, 13 weeks later, So
Baller's guy, Kevin Gibbons. I mean, Baller 2 years in a row. It was Arden Key, and now it's Kevin Gibbons. Baller.
Yeah.
Who's next season? Who is year three's standout player on that
Hey,
defensive line?
well, 1 year at a
Will
time.
Davis?
1 year at a time. I will say
Davis,
Kevin
yeah.
Givens,
Yeah.
that dude is making plays. Brian Baldinger just did a breakdown on Kevin Givens earlier today. And, Kevin Givens, he is saving the season on the interior. And one more guy I wanted to shout out real quick, Juwan Jennings. He only had 2 catches, but they
were big catches.
Third down catches. He catches a ball, bounces off a dude, runs for 33 yards, and then the other third down catches it, makes a dude miss to get a first down. So it's like Juwan Jennings, this guy, he's not the flashiest player. He does drop a ball on occasion, but Juwan Jennings, the dude is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. He makes clutch catches, man, right when you need them. What say you, Amin? What's your final thoughts? What are you looking forward to versus Atlanta, or just your final thoughts about the game?
Hopefully we'll get a W against Atlanta. I mean, we obviously could have been 5-0 up to this point and potentially 6-0 go after that Atlanta game, but obviously things don't always go as you plan. The 49ers, obviously, they have a pretty good chance. I think they have a pretty good chance now. You shouldn't take any team lightly, but I'm looking forward to it overall. Hopefully we'll see another good performance from Jimmy Garoppolo. I thought the bye week was next week for whatever reason. I thought the bye week was week 6, but I just hope the Niners can get another W and can continue this winning streak. And then even after this Atlanta game, then the Monday after that, Monday after the Atlanta game, we got Niners versus Chiefs. And every Niners fan had that marked down on the calendar because we thought that would be the game where we would see Trey Lance versus Patrick Mahomes. Like that was the game. But obviously with that, he's not gonna be able to play. But if the Niners can take care of business on Sunday, the week after that is the week that I'm really looking forward to. Niners versus Chiefs. That's going to be a hell of a week.
And how beautiful would it be to see Jimmy go deep versus the Chiefs and connect? But
he threw one. He threw one to Danny Gray. He threw one to Danny Gray. I think Danny Gray either slipped or something happened.
It was in double coverage.
Yeah, it was in double coverage.
Yeah. I'm just going back to him missing Emmanuel Sanders. It would be pretty dope to see something like that happen. But versus the Atlanta Falcons. So there's kind of 2 parts that I'm kind of thinking about. The Atlanta Falcons they've played, I'm pretty sure they've played down to the wire every single game that they've played in. And the 2 games that we have had close games, we've lost. So we haven't won a close game yet. It feels like our 3 wins were pretty much dominated. So I hope this isn't like a trap game. It would be nice to see us play a close game and finish it. To be honest, like do I want us to just demolish the Atlanta Falcons? Absolutely. But I would almost, just for the experience and just to see that we could do it, and versus a team like the Falcons, it would be kind of dope to see, if I had it the way I wanted it, it would be nice to see Jimmy go down and win a game. Just to kind of show like, hey, I could, I could do this. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully Shanahan, puts his foot on the gas pedal and, we take care of business and don't get caught up in a close game and, lose to a team like, it feels like those are the losses we've have had so far is versus a team like the Falcons. So that's a little worrisome in a weird way.
I think that the Falcons, their offense has been able to put up points. And they're going to be at home. It's going to be loud. But I know that the Niner Empire, the Faithful, will be there representing to the fullest. So definitely looking forward to that game. And I think it's a 10 a.m. kickoff, I believe. So It's gonna get started first thing in the morning. But huge shout out again to everyone in the chat. Huge shout out to all these three gentlemen beside me. Hell of a show tonight. Great show tonight. I'm looking forward to next week for another edition of Straight Out of the Bay. And we go live after every Monday night football game, preferably around 8:15. And we got Niner Sickness who just stopped in. What's good, Niner Sickness? And like I said, huge shout out to everyone who contributed to the stream. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Niners.
Yee.